And we are so lucky that one of the most looked up to personality when it comes to training and development, not only in Riyadh, but all throughout the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is here with us, gracing our occasion with his expertise. It's difficult to overestimate the importance of organizational development as it relates to the success of your organization because it affects every aspect of decision making. Organizational development is defined as the use of organizational resources to improve efficiency and productivity in the workplace. An effective organization can also boost employee morale because workers can feel more empowered and valued when the company or the organization, for this matter, is well structured. Good evening once again. May I request for 30 seconds of silence as we implore the presence of the Lord in our own ways. 30 seconds of silence, please. Amen. And now I offer, and now I give the virtual platform to the president of ComSofil for 2020. Please welcome Board of Director President Ramil Sumile for his opening remarks, for his welcome remarks.
Okay po. Thank you po, Mr. Hans. Good evening to one and all. Before we begin this seminar, I would like to welcome our guest speaker, DTM Sir James Edward Tarok, and express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who are sincerely committed to this seminar to make it a success. The seminar would have been impossible without the support of everyone present here. And I would like to thank our BOT chairman, Sir Juanichi Olanday, and other BOTs to conduct the seminar with the PRO, Sir Hansmert Winter. To my beloved BOTs, instructors, assistant instructors, engineering staff, guests, consopilian members, thank you and welcome. God bless to all.
Thank you very much, Board of Director President Ramil Sumile. At this point, please allow me to welcome the Board of Trustee Chairman, Mr. Juanichi Ulanday, for his message before we start the webinar proper.
To our resource speaker, fellow Board of Trustees, the Board of Directors in Riyadh chapter and Khobar chapter, instructors and assistant instructors of both chapters, support staffs and volunteers. Good evening po and welcome sa ComSofil's first webinar. We wish po na lahat tayo ay safe amid this COVID-19 pandemic. In cooperation with your officers and our very own Toastmasters Club, the Toast of ComSofil, the Board of Trustees has revived the yearly training. This yearly training is envisioned and developed for the society's officers, instructors, staffs, and volunteers to ensure that they have the requisite and necessary leadership and communication skills to stay focused with the society's mission and vision, and for our officers, instructors, volunteers to be reminded to serve our members with highest standard of community service. and to maintain efficiency in the operational aspect of the society. We are planning na ang seminars na to ay magiging weekly starting this day tonight, which encompasses various topics like parliamentary procedures, project management, leadership and communications, and technology. So we encourage everyone to stay tuned for announcement, and we hope to see you attending all our planned webinars. Mr. Hans?
Maraming salamat po, BOD Chairman Wonichi Ulanday. Pinapaalalahanan po ang lahat. I would like to remind everybody that the first part of that should you have any questions regarding our address our speaker, please you may raise your virtual hand, or you may send your questions to the chat box, and I will be the one to raise it to our speaker. Magkakaroon po tayo ng question and answer session later. So kung may katanungan po kayo, maaari niyo pong i-raise ang inyong virtual hand, or maaari din po kayo mag-send excuse me, maaari din po kayo mag-send ng message sa ating chat box. Maraming salamat po. And at this point, let us get to know deeper who our speaker is. Maybe he is a familiar statue here in Riyadh, but that physical feature alone is not enough to define who our speaker is. Please welcome the Board of Directors Secretary for 2020, Ms. Emma, as he introduced our speaker of the night. Ms. Emma, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your presence tonight for our webinar. It is my pleasure to present to you our resource speaker, DTM James Edward Taro. He is currently the Regional Advisor of Region 11 Toastmaster International and a past District 79 Director. He's also a Program Quality Director, a Club Growth Director, and a Press Relation Officer. He is the Division A Governor, Area 5 Governor, and past presidents of the 3 clubs in Riyadh. And also, he is a certified procurement professional manager by American Purchasing Society. Dear ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to present to you our resource speaker, DTM James Edward Taro.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Secretary. So our Board of Trustees, Board of Directors, Sir Wanichi and Sir Hans, isa pong magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, at maraming salamat po sa inyong pag-imbita sa akin upang maibahagi ko po ang aking kaalaman on the topic communication across organization. Let me just highlight why this topic is timely and relevant for an organization such as Comsofil. And sandali lang po. Let me just clear my throat. Don't worry, wala pa po akong COVID. Right. Okay. For a complex organization such as Comsofil, bakit po sa tingin nyo kinakailangan na i-check and to make sure that we are communicating properly across the organization? Communication is one of the most overrated, if not underrated, commodity of the modern world. And isa sa mga napaka-overused na tool na ginagamit ng ating from the older generation up to now. Our world continues to evolve and inventing devices, gadgets, technologies that can improve how we communicate with one another. As of now, if you can see and look around in the time of pandemic, a virus didn't stop us to communicate with one another. We thank the inventor of the online platform for us to remain connected with one another, for us to be reunited with our families back home in the Philippines, for our companies for letting us work from home, even though we're not allowed to report for office. The advancement of technology in terms of communication is so immense that we can be connected with anyone in the world, anytime we want, any place we are in. So I know how immense is the role of communication, not only in the business, not only in the academic, not only in the organization, even in our homes. It starts, our day starts with communication. You know, the first moment when you wake up, when you open your eyes, what you say. Hindi ba yung iba sa atin nagpapasalamat sa poong may kapal sapagkat binigyan tayo ng panibagong araw? That is communication. When we greet our loved ones next to us, that is communication. When we have this affirmation, positive affirmations among for ourselves, looking at the mirror and see ourselves, ang ganda ko or ang gwapo ko, that is communication. When we go to the street, at talking to the driver, going to the office, everything that surrounds us boils down to communication. Now, why we are putting premium on the communication across the organization? This is the reason why we have this session, for us to instill, not only to understand, for us to know where we are in terms of communication. No? So let me just emphasize why it is important, and we will find out in the next slides. No? So our session for tonight will be filled with some polling activities. It will also be filled with question and answer, and we will try to make it as interactive as much as we can. So bear with us, and I really hope that I can contribute immensely to your understanding why communication across the organization is really important. I bring with me my experience from a nonprofit organization called Toastmasters. It is a global organization dedicated to help men and women become effective speakers and effective leaders. I'm not this person in 2000 since 2008. If you're going to compare me in 2008, apart from having so much hair back in 2008, I think I am a different person now because I have the ability to speak in front of people and addressing a crowd as many as 34 participants tonight. So Toastmasters really helped me a lot, and I was able to deliver this presentation because of this organization. Now, in our organization, we develop two things, communication and leadership. We always emphasize that for you to become an effective leader, first, you must be an effective communicator because, you know, tayong mga leaders, we can't send our message across if we cannot communicate properly and effectively. So we put premium on those two tracks, communication and leadership. And we hope that this session will be able to add value to you after on its completion. So just stay and tune in, and let's learn together. Again, my name is James Edward Taruk, and your presenter for this evening. Now, for our first activity, I would like you to stay I'd like you to listen to a impromptu story that I'm going to tell you. Okay, you will see some words flash in the screen, and just be with me on this story. It was a night full of stars and moon, and there were clouds on it when I just came from the office. I was really tired that day because of so much workload, and I received my yelling from my boss who was following up my report. So I was really exhausted and tired, and I went directly to my room to have my sleep. First, I tried to have a nap, but eventually the nap became sleep. My mattress is so comfortable that I stayed, that my clothes from the office stayed with me even I'm on the bed because of this soft and comfortable mattress. I can hug my pillow as an added comfort. Even though I was sleepy, I was able to set an alarm at 5 o'clock. It was too late when I realized that I was completely snoring. And, you know, one indication that you are super tired is when you hear someone snore. It's too late that I realized that my dream was not complete. I didn't see my special someone when I was sleeping. Now, this is the time that we're going to launch a poll. Mr. Paul Master, can we launch our poll? All right. Based on the words that you have seen in the screen, how many can you remember? I'm looking for 8 words, and just try your best to recall and give me that 8 words that you have seen in the screen. Mr. Paul Master, how much time do we have for this activity before it ends?
1 minute po.
All right, timer starts now. You only have 1 minute to complete this exercise. Okay. I think malapit na tayo sa 1 minute.
Yes. Okay, and it ends now.
Ilan kaya nakakuha ng perfect 8?
Okay, shall I share the results?
Yes, Mr. Paul Master. Thank you. Okay. So, merong sumagot. Ang number 1 is tired. Of course, I think that was the first word. Then followed by sleep, which is 91%. Then followed by night and pillow and dream at 82%. Now, tama kaya? May nakakuha kaya ng perfect 8 or may nakasagot ng mali sa ating poll? So, let's find out. So, the 8 words that I'm looking for are the words night, tired, sleep, mattress, pillow, alarm, snooze, and dream. So meron ba nakakuha ng 8? Perfect 8? Without cheating? Okay. Ayan. So walang word na clock at walang word na is nor. Okay. Anyway. All right. Now, my next question is, oops. Okay. Oops. Okay. What did you learn from this exercise? Ano sa tingin nyo ang natutunan ninyo? Did I give a correct mechanics? Did I ask you to first answer that? Maybe you can answer the question. Ano ang natutunan nyo sa activity na to? Mr. Chatmaster?
Your chats, or you may raise your virtual hand.
Okay.
From Ed Paragison, he's one of our instructors. He said, listening is important. Another one, anonymous attendee, he said, to listen and be attentive. Ma'am Elsie, I think she raised her hand. Sir Bonichi. Miss Elsie raised her hand.
Miss Elsie, you can speak. Miss Elsie, you can speak
Miss
now.
Elsie, you may answer.
Be attentive and understand the content.
Be attentive and understand the content. We also have another one here, Vanessa Recto. She said listening is very important. Is that enough, Mr.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chatmaster. I think one of the highlights mentioned by our attendees is listening. From my part, I think listening is one of the integral part of communication, because we always say that communication is a two-way process. I talk and you should listen. One should talk and one should listen. Although we should not use the word the absolute words such as should, but one may speak and one may listen. That's how we do it in Toastmasters. Now, from my part, as the one who is raising or telling the story, I didn't ask the audience to remember or not exactly remember, but to take notes or to write the words that I'm going to mention. So somehow I didn't give a complete mechanics to the participants, but eventually they were able to pick up what we're looking for, because some of them actually exercise the skill of listening, and some of them were actually attentive. So this is not the perfect scenario in our organization. The people at the top may miss some important instructions or information that is being relayed down to the members. It is not always perfect. In this scenario, we are trying to discuss what could have been done better, what could have been improved. And the first part to do that is to find out what might went wrong in that activity. And from my end, I said what went wrong from my end because I didn't give the full mechanics. I didn't ask you to list down or remember the 8 words that I'm going to show in this slide. And the members, in pursuit of participating, because they are interested and enthusiastic, they were able to grasp the mechanics, and they're able to contribute. So give yourself a virtual round of applause because you have done so well in this first activity. Now, moving forward, um, our our topic for today has two important elements: communication and organization. And earlier on, I have discussed and described preliminarily the concept of communication. Of so many possible definition or description that I can give about communication, I have chosen this, which is the simplest definition. And I think it encompasses all the the aspects that we're trying to that can be best extracted from the word communication. According to Person and Nelson, communication can be defined as a process of understanding and sharing meaning. So, some of you were able to understand the exercise before, and actually, what happened was still a communication because there was an element of understanding. There was an element of sharing when I told you about the story. You know, so in simplest form, in its basic form, this is the best definition of communication that I can offer to all of you. As long as your intention is for you to be understood, as long as your intention is to understand your audience, there is a communication. It could be verbal or non-verbal. It could be um, a small attempt or effort from your end. Uh, at the end, if you're trying to complete the process of understanding, it can still be considered as communication. Now, one important fact that I can share to all of you is that in terms of percentage, 90% of what we do is all about communication. Um, it is you might wonder, what about the 10%? No, is it intended for the silence? Yes, because we are not supposed to talk all day through, no, or even all night. No, we have to sleep, we have to rest, and that is allotted for that 10%. We have to do something else for that 10%. But it is a major factor for all of us that we have to live with this fact that 90% of everything boils down to communication. No? So moving forward, the golden question now is why it is important to communicate. Now, you may have some initial answers in your minds why it is important. Um, from so many possible answers, let me offer you some of the distinct reasons why it is essential for us to communicate. First, because it influences your thinking. You know, how do you perceive yourself? Do you perceive yourself as a superior or an inferior individual? How would you like others perceive you? You know, some of us, we have some skills. Some of us, we have some hobbies and interests. Some of us have different beliefs or values or principles or opinions. Now, how do you want others perceive you with that? How can you express yourself? If you're a person who likes to have tattoo in your body, okay, will that tattoo define you as a person? No. If you're a person who was born with a birthmark on your face or a different color or different facial feature, are those distinction define you? No, because you have to undertake a process called communication for you to present your self worth or how you perceive yourself to the world. You know, and it is known through communicating to others. Um, do you know how babies are communicating what they're going through? Of course, they cannot talk. How do you know any baby who was born talking and calling their mother's mama or calling their father's papa? No. The first voice that you can, or the first sound that you will hear from them is wah, wah, right? That is the baby's way of trying to communicate, and that is the best way for the baby to express what they're thinking at that moment. Maybe they are feeling hungry, or they are distracted by the lights in the hospital or in the operation room. So first, you need to communicate because it influences your thinking about yourself and about others. You allow others to perceive you with how you communicate with them. No. Second reason why communication is important, because it influences how you learn. No. If thinking about those people who first does not admit that they don't know this thing before they learn something. No, we in our lives we encounter that people who thinks that they know everything, and when we try to teach them, sometimes we get the the worst response from them. No, so being pride is the number one enemy of self improvement, and in a way, if your communication style rejects all those possible opportunity for you to grow, then I believe that the quality of the learning that you will receive is not that of high value. So communication influence how you learn, how you uses your gadgets, how you install your software in your laptops, how you interpret the messages of your instructor, how you receive the message from your boss. It really boils down on the way you receive the communication. So be mindful of that. Third, because it represents your community. We came from the same country, the Philippines, and it is but our characteristic to be polite by using po and opo. We have our own traditions and customs that well represent our communities, and the best way to represent our country or our community is to communicate with that values and beliefs that we carry from our origin. Communicate because it is expected from you, especially here being overseas Filipino workers. If you read the news or the articles, much has been said about the quality of the work we're giving this country. And just make sure that when you communicate, that that praises, that recognition accorded by this government is properly considered. No? So, wag kang sisigaw, wag kang magagalit. Okay lang nang magalit ka, kung nasa katwiran ka. No? But then, make sure that before you open your mouth, make sure that you are representing a certain community, and that is the Filipinos. And finally, a person who has good communication skills are desired by businesses industries, especially now that there are a lot of job losses, and those people who are losing their jobs, they have so much competitors. You really have to make yourself competitive, and you start by developing your ability to communicate. Sabi nga nung acting dating Toastmaster, na galing Toast of Comsafil, my good friend, Toastmaster Nestor Galang, a person who speaks well is twice handsome. No? Kung magaling ka magsalita at hindi naman kagwapuhan, gumagwapo ka sa paningin ng iba dahil sa galing at bibo mo sa pagsasalita, no? So, nadadala minsan ng galing sa pakikipag-communicate ang ating minsan mga kakulangan, no? So, make sure that when you face the challenges of the world, you have this over and over, laging mong dine-develop ang iyong communication because the world there is so volatile. Everything can change and di ka pwedeng magpaiwan. And the best way to be the best way to handle the present challenges is for you to be competitive in terms of communication. So overall, I hope that this was able to give you a glimpse on why it is essential for us to communicate. Now moving on, the second element from our theme for this evening, which is communication across the organization, is the organization, and it is defined as an entity such as company, sa inyo pinagtatrabahuan, an institution, if you're working in the government, for example, or an association, na tulad ng ComSoFil, comprising of one or more people and having a particular purpose. Now, there are so many good things in this definition, no? So, it says that an organization should be consisting of one or more people. Dapat din hindi lang kayo basta nag-exist. You have a purpose or layunin sa inyong komunidad, sa inyong organisasyon. No? And organizations exist because there are special purpose. There are reasons for that. No? Mas napapadali ang buhay kung mayroong organisasyon. Think about this one. If an overseas Filipino worker wants to develop or learn an AutoCAD on how to use AutoCAD or how to develop software at walang organization tulad ng ComSoFil, do you think matutulungan ba itong OFW kung hindi nag-exist ang isang organization tulad ng ComSoFil? When the professional credits na nire-require ng ating batas, especially those who are accountants, engineers, there was a time that they have to undergo and earn some units dahil kasama ito sa kanilang professional capability development. If I'm not making a mistake, it was a law requiring all the professionals to attend some seminars for them to gain credits for that, no? Para ma-renew ang kanilang license. And the Filipino professional organizations were active that time and napadala or naipahatid sa ating gobyerno itong medyo inconvenience sa part ng ating mga professionals. No? So, consider our situation kung walang organization such as ComSoFil. Now, this is what you're seeing is the organizational structure of your organization. No? And napaka-interesting niya kasi on top of it is the board of trustees, and sa ilalim, just like any other organizational structure, are the members, no? And you can see the line of coordination, the line of direct connection from the board of trustees to the president, down to the several officers, education membership, finance, engineering, PRO. I would like to put premium for the members to really understand and know what is their existing organizational structure, because it is expected from the members na malaman nila kung ano ang expected responsibility from these officers, and as well as kung ano yung mga dapat na gawin or kung nasa tamang pagdedesisyon ba ang isang officer. By knowing and putting it by heart ang ating organizational structure, na iiwasan natin ng minsan ng pagkalito, ang friction sa working relationship. Kasi alam natin kung sino ba dapat ang magtatrabaho at sino ang dapat gumanap sa role na yun. So I will leave this challenge to all of the members to have this in their mind and have this in their heart. What the organization structure is not there for visual purposes, but it has an underlying meaning na dapat ay alam ng lahat ng members. Talking about organization, hindi may iwasan na mag-discuss natin ang dalawang interchangeable topic na vision and mission. Okay, we define vision as knowing who you are by defining our purpose, bakit tayo nag-exist, where you're going, ano yung nabivisualize yung future natin. No? Magiging number one ba tayo? Tayo ba ang magiging premier organization for IT professionals here in Saudi Arabia? And what will guide your journey? Ano ba yung mga paniniwala, principles or values that will allow us to achieve that vision? On the other hand, sounds like vision, mission. A mission statement is a short statement of why an organization exists. Bakit? No? Sa isang paragraph, pagka nababasa niyo ang mission ng isang organization or isang company, it embodies everything that the organization wants and justifies the existence. What's its overall goal? Identifying the goal of its operations, what kind of product or services it provides, its primary customers or market, and its geographical region of operation. So this is so far the complete definition of a mission. As sabi nga nila, it should contain a justification why it exists, your overall goal, the goal of its operations, no? What kind of products or services. So ano ba provide ng Comsofil? Are you into kind of products or serbisyo sa ating kapwa OFWs? Ang inyong primary customers or market and its geographical region of operation. Now, again, let's play a poll, our second poll for this evening. Gaano nyo kaalam ang inyong mission, no? Bilang mga organisasyong umaharap sa mga kapwa OFWs, sa tingin ko po ay mahalaga na isa sa puso natin ang inyong mission. No? So parang ito ay isang pagsusulit lamang, alamin natin kung gaano nyo kaalam ang inyong mission. So ang ating poll master ay magraran ng poll. Okay, you can see there are 6 mission statements. No? Pakipili po ang 4 na mission ng Comsofil. Okay, you have 1 minute to complete this activity.
Sir, ang kailangan ba 4 kasi ginawa ko lang is isa lang ang pwede ma-choose nila.
Ay,
sige,
isa lang po.
I will change it. Just give me a few more moments.
Okay, naku, baka nakaiba dyan, nag-check na ng website. Let's see. Okay, mahalaga po, maliban po sa nalalaman natin ng mission, meron pang isang values na ating dapat alalahanin, which is what we call integrity. So, habang inaayos po ni Sir Wanichi ang ating po, okay, maybe iba sa atin ay nag-browse na ng ating review materials or okay. Sir Wanichi, sabihin niyo na po kung okay na po.
Hindi ko na mababago. So, piliin na lang po nila yung pinaka best answer sa tingin nila.
Okay. Sige po. Let's use the chat feature na lang, the question and answer. So, you can see there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, kung 4 po yung mission ng Comsofil, so paki-mention na lang po yung numbers either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a combination of numbers between from 1 to 6. So you have 1 minute to complete this activity. Okay? Ang isasagot nyo lang po sa chat ay 4 na numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ayan. May sumagot na from Vanessa Recto. Ating chat master, sorry. Mr. Chat Master.
Mr. Hans.
Okay, I think busy ang ating chat master. Vanessa Recto, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Vanessa Recto, 1, 2, 3, 6. Van Eric Rodrin, 1, 2, 4, 6.
Okay, so far dalawa pa lang, Mr. Chat Master. Ayan, so may
Ed
sumagot na.
Paragison, 1, 2, 5, 6. Perlita de la Vega, 1, 2, 4, 5. Jonathan Avenido, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Okay. Okay, so isa na lang, TM Hans, kung meron pang sumagot.
Meron. Ellen Amarante, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Okay, so alin ang hindi nawawala? Number 1.
Opo, hindi po nawawala ang 1. Elsa Ulanday, 1, 3, 5, 6.
Okay. Let's find out. No? Mr. Paul Master, pwede pong pa-reveal po uli ng poll results.
Ayan po yung results po. Pero isa lang po ang kailangang mapili nila.
We apologize for that glitch. Siguro it's my mistake kasi hindi ko po nasabi kay Sir Wanichi na it should be a multiple choice. Anyway, the first ang ating box office ay number 1, to harness the Filipino professionals in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So taas nyo ang kamay nyo, virtual hand kung napili nyo ang number 1. And I guess based on the chat, maraming pumili ng number 1. Now, second, for the advancement of professional well-being, COMSOFIL will become a strong and effective non-profit organization. So, merong sumagot ng 2, TM Hans, doon sa chat.
Opo.
Okay. So, itong number 2 is the mission statement to ng PICE Eastern Region, no? Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers. Eastern Region. So pinilitan ko lang yung PICE ng COMSOFIL to look to appear na parang mission statement siya ng COMSOFIL pero it's not. So doon po sa sumagot po ng 2, hindi po ito mission statement ng COMSOFIL. Now third is to create, develop, and provide opportunities, blah blah blah, up to qualifications. Yes, ito po ay isang mission statement ng COMSOFIL. By the way, sorry, we will not proceed with that kasi I shared the answer in the next slide. I forgot. Okay. So the poll was about knowing your mission, and I was able to share with you the vision. Isa lang naman ang vision ng COMSOFIL, which is to empower overseas Filipino workforce in the field of information and communication technology through skills training and upgrading, and facilitate their productive reintegration into Philippine society. Such a noble vision. Now, going back to the poll, allow me to share the 4 mission statements of COMSOFIL. No? So, na-discuss na natin yung number 1, na-discuss na din natin yung number 2, which is not correct. So, I think this is number 3, what you're seeing on the top right portion of the slide is number 3. And yung number, okay, wala na yung poll, na-close na natin, no? I think yung number 5, which mentions something about mechanical engineers, that is mission statement of the Philippine Society of Mechanical Engineers. So palakpakan ninyo ang yung sarili kung nakuha ninyo ang sagot na 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Kung ang sagot nyo ay 1, 2, 4, 6, that is correct. So that is how much you will know your organization, which is ComsoField. So again, kung nakuha nyo ang perfect, saludo po ako sa inyo at tama ang inyong mga napiling sagot. Now, what characterizes organizations? Ano bang ina-expect nyo sa inyong organization bilang miyembro? No? So, unang-una, pasok ba sa criteria ng pagiging organization ng ComsoField? Now, according to the international standards, may international standards, the characteristic of an organization, first, it has a common purpose. So, ano ang purpose ng ComsoField? To provide training for the ICT professionals, those who are based here in Saudi Arabia, for the OFWs. Now, so I think achieve ng ComsoField ang pagkakaroon ng common purpose nito, and I think it was common knowledge for all the members. Second, it must have coordinated effort, no? Because we're talking about skills, we're talking about resources. Kinakailangan sa isang organisasyon ay magkaroon ng coordinated effort for us to maximize, as I said, the resources, for us to fulfill your potential, because ang organization ng ComsoField is skills building, no? Third quality ng pagiging organization is there must be a division of labor. Earlier on, you have seen the organizational structure of ComsoField, no? So mayroong board of trustees, mayroong board of directors, may president, and I believe each of the officers, they have their own task and goals, no? So sa pangatlong quality, pasok pa rin, achieve pa rin ng ComsoField. And finally, okay, there must be hierarchy of authority. This is manifested if you check the organizational structure. Merong people leading at the top, and meron on the middle, and merong people who are coordinating in between, and of course the members. So in all these instances, in all these criteria, I think ComsoField is a highly qualified type of an organization. So congratulations sa inyong lahat. Now, review. Again, how do we define communication? Communication can be defined as the process of understanding and sharing meaning. So you just don't say something without meaning, okay? Otherwise, hindi yun communication. Kapag ba minura mo isang tao, communication yun? Tanong. I think it's a question of logic. Kapag binura ka ng isang tao, is that person communicating with you? Yes. Okay. Yes. Because what the person is trying to convey you is siguro galit or hatred or dislike, angst. There is still a meaning on the words, no? Kahit medyo hindi siya positive, pagka minura ka, the other person is still communicating with you. It may be a form of warning to you, because galit na siya at probably the next result or the next action will not be favorable for you. Then we also define organization. Sabi nga, organization is an entity It could be a company or institution or association. Maraming tao dito and they have a particular purpose. So we were able to define the major components of our topic, which is communication across organization. Now, the big question is, how do we communicate across the organization? Sa isang malaki or complex organization such as Comsofil, how do we communicate? Ang isang miyembro ba ay pwedeng dumiretso sa president, sa board of trustees o sa board of directors? Ang isang instructor ba kapag merong hinanakit or merong sama ng loob, kanino siya lalapit? Ang isang officer ba kung gusto niya mag-resign or sa tingin niyang hindi na siya productive at gusto lang umalis o kumalas sa organisasyon, how do you handle these things, no? How do we communicate across the organization? Let's find out, no? Probably on the next slides we'll try to help you understand why it is needed and how it is done. Now, what can you see in the picture? Ano po ang nakikita niyo sa picture? Nakikita niyo ba ang inyong president dyan? Nakikita niyo ba ang inyong board of trustees or board of directors? Nasaan sila? Nasa baba? Nasa taas? Sila ba yung tipong cheerleader sa inyo? O sila ba yung tipong nauna na at wala nang pakialam dun sa mga taong nasa baba? Okay, what they see is a channel of communication. Yes, it could be kasi the mere fact na may mga arm stretching, trying to help someone, that's an indication that you're trying to help. No, helping each other to reach the top. Okay, so according to anonymous attendee and according to Ma'am Perlita, helping each other. Okay, so I think what the picture is trying to reveal to us is that in one way or another, helping hand is one of our characteristic, and it is one of the expectation if you are a leader. So kung nandun ka sa middle, you're expected na tutulungan mo yung mga taong nasa baba. But does it follow na kapag nasa taas ka na ay you will just spend your time reveling or celebrating while the others are still doing the task? O pwede namang hintayin nila lahat makarating mataas bago mag-celebrate, no? So this is a picture of reality for us, no? As a member, by heart, okay, in answering the question why it is important to communicate across the organization, are you a member who wish success for your organization? Isa ka ba sa mga naghahangad ng tagumpay para sa inyong organization? Kasi if we're going to dig deeper dito sa question how to communicate across the organization, ang bottom line yan is if you are concerned enough for the success of the organization, you will do your part. And at instances, hindi mo na kailangan sabihin pa that you have to follow certain protocol or channel when communicating within Comsofil, no? So thank you for those who participated in the chat, and going back to our discussion, I would like to present you this picture na sana nakikita natin yung sarili natin na maging positive contributor to our success sa Comsofil. And that starts by putting premium in how we communicate with others within the organization. No? There's so much success relying on better and proper communication in an organization such as Comsofil. Moving forward, no. Now, gusto ko sanang tanungin kung ano yung ma-impact ng effective communication. Kapag ka ba open ang isang organization at nasasabi mo lahat ng gusto mong sabihin, ano ang resulta or ano ang consequence or ano ang impact nun sa organisasyon. So first, it helps members understand the terms and conditions. No, by understanding kung ano yung limitations, kung ano yung mga expectations na dapat mong gawin bilang member, na it drives their commitment and loyalty. No? Dahil alam mo kung ano yung dapat mong trabaho or responsibilidad sa COMSA field, mas lalo ka pang nagiging committed at loyal. No? Kasi kung hindi mo naintindihan, kung naguguluhan ka sa pinagagawa mo sa COMSA field, then ang tendency mo is you will find doors for you to exit. Hanapin mo yung the nearest fire exit for you to get out from that situation. But kung nalalaman mo naman kung bakit ka nandoon at ano yung expected responsibilities mo, you will stay committed and loyal. Second, it gives members a voice to improve satisfaction. Now, dito pumapasok yung value of feedback kasi nasasabi mo kung ano yung dating ng isang desisyon o isang action. In return, kapag ka nag-express ka ng feedback, it undergoes a process of evaluation and monitoring na nai-improve yung serbisyo or yung nababago yung desisyon. And thus, it makes you stay more sa organization kasi there is an element of satisfaction. No? When there is an effective communication, secured ka kasi nabo-voice out mo yung iyong nararamdaman, yung iyong pananaw, yung iyong pakiwari. No? So, for example, ikaw ay nabubuhay sa isang bansang hindi malayang makapag-express, like sa isang bansang walang Facebook. No? So, paano mo i-express yung iyong hinanakit or sentiments? Makipag-usap ka sa mga hayop or makipag-usap ka sa mga halaman. No? So at least blessed tayo and we are fortunate enough that we have this organization that allows members to positively express and voice out their sentiments and to a certain extent grievances kung meron man. Third, it helps to lessen misunderstanding and grievances. Ang taong nagsasama ng matiwasay, tumatagal ang samahan, di ba? So dahil open ng communication at meron namang check and balance pagdating sa pakikipag-usap, nababawasan yung hindi pagkakaunawaan at yung samaan ng loob. Kasi these are negative factors, no, that reduces productivity. Kung merong mga ganito in between us, if there's a wall or meron kang awkwardness makatrabaho ng isang tao, you will not feel productive kasi there's something that holds you or stops you from being that pre-person, no, para magawa mo ng maayos yung trabaho mo. And next is it improves processes and procedures, creating efficiencies and reducing costs. Sa isang organisasyon tulad ng COMSOPIL na may mga assets like computers, projectors, no, by having an effective communication, it reduces costs. By simply running a training on how to properly store or use the projectors, it could save costs kasi di ba kung sakasakaling di alam ng instructor o ng member kung paano gamitin yung projector and suddenly biglang nag-pass, we don't know, no? So yun lang yung mga examples na binibigay ko on how an effective communication can help us from those situations, from those embarrassing situations, no? So ang bottom line dito is we all have to benefit if we have an effective communication, and I hope that you really see a bigger and clearer picture in these examples. Next, let's brainstorm. No? Using the chat box, gusto kong malaman, what is the impact of ineffective communication? Kung sakasakaling we are a failure in communicating with others within our organization, what are the possible scenarios or consequence na maaaring maramdaman or makita or ma-experience mo sa loob ng organization? No? Sabi nga ni Ma'am Remedios, there are times when you express yourself, they just ignore you. So this is something, no? Mr. Chatmaster, I hope.
Yes, please answer your
Okay, so
send
let's start.
on chat your answers.
Let's start with you, Tiam Hans. What do you think is the possible impact of ineffective communication in an organization?
What is the possible impact of ineffective communication? Miscommunication.
Okay, you hear it.
That's the simplest answer I could give. Because communication should in the elements of communication, there is a speaker and there is a receiver. There is channel on how the message is passed, and there is a message. So if there is a disruption here in this process of communication, there will always be miscommunication. And in an organization like Comsafil, miscommunication is not something to be miscommunication is something that has to be looked into immediately. Otherwise, it will create chaos within the organization. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Tiam Hans. Would you mind?
Sir, there are other answers here. From Vanessa Recto, misunderstanding. From Remedios Pigao, what's this? No, this was former. From Dennis Abaratige, misunderstanding. From Remedios Pigao, misunderstanding. Van Eric Rodrin, havoc. From Remedios Pigao, the society will not be solid. From an anonymous attendee, misunderstanding and chaos. And from Ed Paragison, ineffective communication may lead into wrong direction or perception. So those are the answers sent through the chat box, DTMs. There are more. LC Bajao, downfall of the organization.
Oops, yes.
Perlita de la Vega, misinterpretation. Remedios Pigao, members will create different ways to follow and to not meet the goals. And anonymous attendee, it reflects on the organization. Claire Gonzalez, less production, effect on the moral of the person. And that's all, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, TM Hans. I think we are having an interactive session on that part, and I would like to appreciate the members who are expressing the answers. No, so I think ang top 3 na pick up ko doon sa mga sagot ninyo is first, less production, of course, kasi something is holding you back. No? There's a barrier between you and your fellow members in the organization, and second is the misinterpretation or the misperception, and the most answered, or the answer that has the most answered word is misunderstanding. So tanong ko lang, sino ba yung mga binata dyan sa ating audience? PM Hans.
Sino daw po yung mga binata? Binata, sir, sa Riyadh or binata hanggang sa Pilipinas, sir?
Basta binata sila. Kasi napakarami nating miss. Meron tayong misunderstanding and misperception. No? So baka may mga binata tayo dyan at they might be interested with that. And hopefully not. Because I think pagka niligawan yung si misunderstanding at si misperception, sabi nga nila, it will lead to chaos and havoc. No?
Meron daw po rito, binata lang siya sa Riyadh. Sabi niya, si Sir Hans binata. Ay, sorry po, I'm taken.
Nako, isa po yung ineffective communication. Okay, so thank you for the participation, dear audience. And what we're trying to figure out here is that may epekto, no? So there is so much accountability and responsibility in keeping and maintaining good communication across the organization. Pero hindi pa rin natin nasasagot, no? I haven't given you the tips and advices on how to uh, proceed in communicating across the organization. So let me proceed to the next slide. Now, earlier on, I have the discussion with one of your pillars of comms of field, and I was particularly intrigued with the term because this is something new, and the term he used was pain points. I really don't know if it's a new term because I've heard it over a webinar again yesterday. So probably it is a business term referring to a certain bottlenecks or to certain sources of potential conflicts or problems, no? So pag sinabing pain points, ito yung maaaring nagpapabagal or nagiging sanhi ng mas malala pang posible maging sanhi ng mas malalang problema. So that is the definition of pain points. So talking about comms of field, these are pain points specifically and distinctly to comms of field. So he was able to share this with me, and I think this is a good eye opener for all of us. First, what is the pain points that we're talking about? Is some of the members, if not all, they are adopting this passive approach, and passive is the antonym or the opposite of proactive. Hindi on the spot ba yung ating communication, like medyo patatagalin pa. Okay. Yung proactive kasi, we often hear that in Toastmasters, no? When we give an instant on the spot, it means on the spot evaluation. So we have that word proactive evaluation in Toastmasters. Also here, in terms of communication, sometimes we are just passive, no? We are encouraged to be proactive. Second one is the lack of coordination. Okay, earlier on we said why we're coordinating, because we are dealing with skills and resources. So lack of coordination can lead to something else. Third is walang validation kung sino ang source, kung sino ang nagsabi, kung dapat ba, is this in line with the rules, the protocols. And the fourth one is the lack of familiarity with the structure. These are the pain points of comms of field, and we were trying to present a possible solution with this, because awareness, it leads to understanding, and understanding leads to action. So there's something that we would like you members and leaders of comms appeal to adapt, kasi it will help improve the quality of the services that we are offering kung at this aspect of management is being considered for improvement. Now, one thing that can cure or can help those pain points is by coming up with a communication strategy. Meron ba tayong communication strategy? Meron bang communication strategy ang comms of field? If not, I think this is the best time to come up with a communication strategy. And based on my research, communication strategy deals with the strategic plan. Okay, from point A, we want to achieve and go to point B. What are the strategies of comms appeal to do that? No? So kung merong strategic plan ng comms appeal, that is also one of the factors on coming up with the communication strategy. The second one is the brand. Ano ba yung labeling na ino-offer natin sa Comsofil. Kumbaga parang kung makita ko siya at siya ay kasalukuyang nagtatrabaho ngayon, I can say that, uy, tatak Comsofil yan. Basta tinirain ng Comsofil magaling. Something like that. That is what we call brand. No? Third is vision, mission, and values. Earlier on, we discussed already the vision and mission. Somehow, ang values, it is also related to this. That is why we have discussed the vision and mission kasi importante talaga na ina-align natin yung ating communication strategy with our vision, mission, and of course, our values. Fourth one is the strategic goals and objectives. Ano ba? Especially at this time of pandemic, ano ba ang strategic goals and objectives ng Comsofil? And of course, the missing link in this picture is the communication. No? So this is what defines communication strategy. It involves all the key elements of strategic planning, the vision, mission, and values, your branding, your strategic goals and objectives, and the way of the manner of communication. Now, first, in case you're considering to come up with a communication strategy, being a member, how can you contribute to achieve that purpose? First is know your role in communication. Isa ka bang member na merong napansin kakaiba sa organization and you would like to bring it to the attention of your leaders? Isa ka ba sa mga instructors na merong magandang proposal sa board of directors o board of trustees? No? Paano mo yung i-present? No? Isa ka bang presidente na medyo merong non-performing officer? How are you going to relay that in the most what they call in the sincerest and with the best intention, so as not to so it will not create any backfire. Hindi siya magba-backfire sa iyo, or it will not create any unwanted result, no? So first, know your role in communication. Ikaw ba ay top to down or down to top approach? No. Second is that more trainings, probably. If there are trainings like this, I really encourage the members to come and attend. Kasi these trainings are not just for the facilitators. This training is for the members to gain insights, to know more, be educated more. And from that knowledge, it can be used to increase productivity. No? So times like this, tulad ito, we're discussing a very important and critical tool in the organization, which is communication. No? So continue attending trainings and try to enrich yourself with the right knowledge and information. Third is to respond to the members' issues. No, this is particularly addressed to the leaders. No, kung meron mang issues, wag nang patagilin, and due process. I believe. I believe in an organization such as Comsofil, meron tayong proseso, meron tayong protocol on how to address. Kasi the more na hindi natin nasasagot yung questions, the more na hindi natin attend yung concern ng members, it will continue to branch out to several issues and problems, and to a point na it will reach to a saturation point wherein we no longer cannot address and solve that situation. So bakit mo pa patatagalin at pahabain? So ideally, mas na-address natin yung issue ng members, mas nagiging productive ang mga members kasi natatanggal natin yung mga bottlenecks na aalis natin yung mga potential barriers. Okay. Next is also part of the communication strategy is what is your process or protocol when you're dealing with external media. When we say external media, ito yung nasa Al Jazeera, ito yung nasa Saudi Gazette, ito yung mga taong may interest sa ComsoFil. No? So it could be a person who is interested to enroll in ComsoFil, but then they don't know the process. So what is the procedure or the process in handling those questions or queries from the external media? Next, examine your audience. No? So I'm happy na iba sa inyo ay members ng board, iba sa inyo ay instructors, ang iba sa inyo ay officers. I am reaching out to you as part and parcel of the organization. No? So when we're communicating, we should know our audience well. Hindi yung email na intended para kay president ay i-share mo sa club officers, no, sa mga officers. What is your purpose with that? Na you would like to inform your fellow officers that you have this concern. No. There are times na kinakailangan natin ilagay sa end or sa recipient yung sarili natin for us to further understand how that person will perceive or understand our intentions. No? So know your audience is one of the strategies in communicating across the organization. Next is to select the best tools and approaches. Marami tayong tools and approaches. I guess mayroong Facebook account, may WhatsApp, mayroong email. Sa tingin mo, if you are addressing a very critical issue of the organization, would you use the messenger, which is somehow informal? Or would you use the printed paper sealed in an envelope and give it personally to the president or to the board of directors? What is the best tools and approaches that you would like to adopt for you to convey your message? Sometimes it boils down. Minsan sa ating napapabayaan natin minsan ng data privacy, no? Minsan yung importance ng information nalilik siya at it creates situation or problem. So we have to make sure that we are using the tools properly. Hindi meron confidentiality, meron tayong courtesy to make sure that the only intended personalities will receive the message. Kaya nga in every email, minsan sa email natin meron tayong tinatawag na disclaimer. If you are not the intended recipient of this message, please delete it. No? It is also considered in the communication. No? So make sure na tama yung taong padadalan mo ng iyong communication. And finally, choose the right message and channel. Hindi lang basta galit ka, sasabihin mo na lahat ng gusto mong sabihin. No? Sabi nga nila, if you're angry, you are not in the normal state. And if you're not in the normal state, sometimes you don't choose the best words. Sometimes you don't have the best intention, thus creating more confusion and more negative feelings. No? So choosing the right message means choosing the right words. If you are addressing a president, then make sure that your communication or your message befits a president. No? Respect begets respect. Kung gusto mo respetuhin ka, then make sure that it is reflected in your communication, in your actions and gestures. Now, going back to the pain points na earlier we discussed, no? In my viewpoint, as someone who has been there in Toastmasters, someone who has worked at the different levels of leadership from the club, from the area. Area means 4 na clubs, division means 16 na club, and district, it means 200 to 300 clubs. And now as region, mas malawak yung hawak ko ngayon. Coming from that situation, how can I present possible or potential solution to these pain points. Now, first is passive approach. Um, Now, if you are a member, I think the best way to address this is, of course, I'll tell you to be proactive. And when we say to be proactive, you have to consider the time. Okay? Hindi yung binigay sa'yo ngayon, palalagpasin mo pang isang linggo para ma-address mo at sabihin mo na medyo kulang ang information, medyo hindi malinaw, naguguluhan ka. Be proactive on the spot. I think the leaders naman, they're open-minded. They can answer your clarifications. They can be held responsible if you're verifying something. No, just consider how critical is this issue. Ito ba ay makakapagsalba ng isang desisyon, makakapagpatuloy ba or makakapag-expand ng organization natin. Work on those criteria or parameters on being proactive. Basta sa tingin nyo that you really have to act on it. And that is how being proactive. Second is the lack of coordination. Again, let me emphasize to you that if you know your role in the organization, if you acknowledge the hierarchy, who is on the top, who is on the middle, or who's on the bottom, you will see on what degree of responsibility and accountability you are into. No, kung president ka, ito yung degree ng aking responsibilidad, no. It encompasses the board of directors, the board of trustees, as well as the members down. Now, kung member ka, ito lang aking territory. Okay? Hanggang dito lang ako. But that doesn't mean that you are not allowed to communicate. Okay? Hindi yung member ka and your thinking is that you are one of the officers. No. It is, we have elected leaders over us. No? So these elected leaders are expected to fulfill their responsibilities, and we have to respect that. We have to acknowledge that one, because it is they were put in that position because of the power that was given to them by the members. So we really have to respect that. Third is to, pag walang validation, probe. You are entitled to that. Ask kung kanino nanggaling itong instructions na to. Verify if needed. There is so much joy in asking follow-up questions. No? Hindi lang doon nagtatapos pag binigay sa itong instruction na to. Doon na nagtatapos ang lahat, ang iyong understanding. No? Kung kinakailangan, ask for more questions kasi it will affect how you are going to react and respond and do certain action. Kung hindi mo naiintindihan, baka mali-mali yung magawa mo. And finally, know your officers. Okay? Doon sa issue ng lack of familiarity with hierarchy, I really encourage the members to get to know their officers and what are their roles and responsibilities, unang-una, para namang nadadirect. It's about taking the right decision with the right person at the right time. Okay? So, I think that addresses all the pain points. And kung may dadagdag pa kayo, we are free to listen. Now, in conclusion, okay, because I've been holding you for quite long, remember that communication is a cornerstone of any organization's success. Nakadepende lagi sa communication kung magtatagumpay ang isang organization. Even in a communication that deals with communication in leadership such as Toastmasters, mayroon din kaming mga lapses, may mga flaws din kami. But that is where we learn more. That is where we grow more in acknowledging that we made a mistake. The first part of learning is admission. Kung alam mo sa sarili mo that there's something to be improved, admit it kasi it gives you that freedom to to learn limitlessly. No? It comprises of continuous interactions with multiple parties, with your officers, with your members, and external stakeholders. So, ang bottom line ko ay communication is the driver of success. Okay. Kung medyo vague ang communication, expect nyo that the organization is set to fail. And then second is effective communication ensures the flowing of information between all related and relevant parties, thus reducing the potential for misunderstanding, dissatisfaction, and lack of trust. These are emotional, and leaders, there are members and individuals who are highly emotional, no? And ito yung mga tao na pag may nasabi kang hindi maganda, minsan pag hindi na-address, they will keep it to themselves, and which eventually will affect relationships. And when the relationship is affected, of course, kamusta naman ang goals and objectives ninyo? So kapag apektado ang goals and objectives ninyo, kamusta naman ang overall success ng organization? No? So times like this, sa mga simpleng pagkakataon, sa mga maliliit na bagay, we really don't know. Sometimes kung ano pa yung maliit, siya pa itong nakakapuwing sa atin. And it is true in terms of communication. No? If it's left unchecked, it might be open for more problems and chaos. So I really encourage that we start looking on how we do our communication with others. And I wish you all the success. And I'm happy to be with you. And this is the end of my session. Back to Sir Hans and to Sir Wanichi. Sana hindi kayo nakatulog.
I am muted. Thank you very much, DTM James Edward Taruk. That was indeed a very, very timely discussion on addressing the primary pain point in Comsafil by discussing one solution to those pain points, and that is proper communication. So I now open the floor for our audience to raise their hands if they want to ask a question or send questions via chat. So meron po ba mga katanungan? You may raise your virtual hand, please.
Salamat po sa pagkakataong ito, Toastmaster Wanichi, Sir Wanichi, and thank you for your support, Toastmaster Hans.
Si Ma'am Remedios Pigao. Miss Remedios Pigao?
Yes, dear.
Yes po. What's your question, ma'am?
Yes. Good evening, Sir James.
Hi, good evening po.
Can you just please enlighten us on a little on an etiquette on webinar?
Okay. I may not be the best person to orient or familiarize about the etiquette on webinar, but first, I think there is certain information that is available from Zoom. There are some videos and documentations available.
Oh.
Yes. Meron po tayong video.
Sir.
Okay po. Basta ang overall...
Excuse me, sir, can I speak?
Sige po.
The only thing I like is to use the proper terms, like for example, answering questions through discussions. I want to know how to start, or how to start, how to be well mannered in discussion through web. because I don't know, I don't have any clue, you know. So I'm a little bit scared to speak because I don't want to, you know, to mislead my audience. Being an officer, I should be an exemplar or I should be an example. So, but I don't know how. That's why I'm asking that etiquette on this. Especially so we're using this in teaching also, and I'm a teacher. So I wanted to know more because you're, you know, a speaker. So I'm asking you. Thank you so much then.
Okay.
Sir James, would you want to answer the?
Yes. Okay. I think when we say etiquette, it is a code or code of conduct, some sort of code of conduct on how we behave in the webinar platform. I think first and foremost, I mentioned earlier that respect begets respect. It boils down on how you wanted others to treat you. No, so it starts from the way you communicate. Kung gusto mo na medyo respetado din yung pagkakasagot sa tanong mo, then I think it boils down in the quality of the question. If you want uh, to get quality answer, then make sure that your question is, of course, of quality. No? So quality questions, it breeds quality
Okay.
conversations. Okay.
Thank you very much, DTM James. Ma'am Remy, are you okay with the response? Sir, there is a message here from one of the audience. She's Perlita de la Vega. Nothing more. Malinaw naman po yung pagpapaliwanag ng lesson for today, communication. Thank you very much daw po.
Thank you po, Ma'am
So
Perlita.
should you have other questions, please? Yes, Sir James.
Opo, nagpapasalamat ako kay Ma'am Perlita because yung mga ganong feedback, it enlarges the heart of the speaker, especially that this is not a conventional material available from Toastmasters, and I really came up with this original content, and and it took time from me today. So I would like to appreciate yung feedback na binigay ni Ma'am Perlita. Thank you.
So may mga questions pa po, katanungan pa po. Please raise your virtual hand or please send message through the chat box.
Especially sa mga officers natin, kung may katanungan pa po kayo, please.
Ano po yun, sir?
Especially po sa mga officers natin na nakikinig ngayon, na kasama sa participants, please raise your questions.
Especially sa mga officers, you are perceived to be the ambassadors of the organization. So it's really important that we embody the values, that we represent the mission and vision of the organization in all the aspects of our communication, be it oral or nonverbal. No? So for the officers, I think the best way is to find out what stops you from being an proactive communicator. What hinders you from being, ano ba yung mga pain points kanina nabanggit ko? Passive, coordinated, lack of coordination. No? So just run a self introspection, no, doon sa mga officers. Ano pa ba yung ang pwede kong mai-contribute at maibigay sa organization in terms of enhancing my communication, kasi there's so much more in expressing ourselves and understanding the organization that we are belonging to. Okay, I think.
Sir, may question po rito from Sir Van Eric Rodrin. Why questions are effective for communicating?
Yes, questions are effective communicating because that is your invitation for a quality conversation. No? So kung ang tanong mo lang ay mga open-ended questions like, kumain ka na ba? May love life ka ba? Ano? masaya ka ba sa buhay mo, or mga open-ended questions na nasasagot ng yes or no, that does not invite further conversation, no? And sabi ko nga, if you're expecting to enjoy a conversation, then start with a quality question. Dapat maayos ang pagtatanong mo, instead of asking, may love life ka ba? Siguro the better way is that, oy, meron ba nagpapasaya sa'yo lately? Hindi ba mas interesting yung second question rather than asking, may love life ka ba? So, example lang yun, no? It is a personal example, and that could be further pattern kung sa tingin mo na medyo critical yung topic. Of course, medyo sensitive ka dun sa pagtatanong. It always depend on your intention. Ano ba yung intention mo? If your intention is to get details, of course, your question should be should try to get information, should be informative, no? So kung ang gusto mong malaman kung ilan ang umattend, syempre tanong mo, ilan ba umattend? Again, the bottom line is it depends on your purpose and it depends on the criticality of the situation. So always remember that it starts from the question. By raising a proper and quality questions, it is inviting a quality conversation.
Sir, meron po. How can we encourage a shy member or officer to speak out his or her concern?
Okay, that is a valid question. Our organization, our lives are full of people who could not express themselves. No, they could not share what is going through with themselves. No, so I think the best way, if that person is shy, is to hindi lang naman sa verbal communication eh. There could be a non-verbal communication. It could be written communication, like start writing something, no, expressing his feelings gradually. Okay, and I think that it's a start. As a Toastmaster, I was not a speaker. I was more of a writer because I find creativity and I find joy in writing. So, yun nata yung nagpapa-confirm sa akin na I was an inferior person before because I couldn't express myself openly, verbally. But eventually, while writing my speeches and while subjecting and immersing myself in speeches like in Toastmasters, paunti-unti. Hindi naman kasi overnight yan. It is not an overnight process for you to become that well-versed speaker. Just take one small step, and that could be writing something, reading it out loud, and probably talking to someone that inspires you, that motivates you, could bring out that talent in you. So yun na yung may sasuggest ko. Start by small step, and you will not realize na nakakapag-express ka na openly with that.
Thank you very much, DTM James. I have an unsolicited advice also. Join Toastmasters.
Yun lang yung bottom line. If you want to express yourself, I think properly, the best platform is Toastmasters.
Yes.
And I want
Thank
to
you
add,
very much, DTM James. We have another question here. I am feeling like a fish out of the water. If the group just ignore my suggestions, then I began to be quiet. I know it is wrong, but for the sake of peace, I just keep my mouth shut. Am I a bad communicator?
First, all of us have principles, okay, and sometimes we do flex and compromise our principle, because at the end we are always after the benefit. In this case, it's like, sige na nga, mananahimik ka lang ako kasi mas importante sa akin ang peace of mind. But I do not really encourage that one. If you feel that this thought could lead to a major change or action, it's better that you try rather than not trying. It is always a cliche. It may sound that it's na sinasabihan tayo na let's try, wala na mawawala eh. Siguro in this case, sa tingin ko, the best advice is go for it. You know, rather than contemplating and feeling guilty about it kasi hindi mo nasabi, it doesn't do you good either. So I think it's better to let it out from your heart, from your mouth, at least, and let them decide, because who knows? Hindi natin alam kasi may mga leaders tayo, no? They'll be the ones who will decide, not only us. So to emphasize the role of communication, again, communication is a two-way process. You talk and someone listen. You listen and someone talks. So in that case, just let it out. Sabi nga ni Elsa, let it go, no? Let it go. So yun lang. Ang advice ko, don't keep it to yourself. Just let it go. And who knows that this idea could change lives or the entire organization. We don't know. Just let it out.
Thank you very much, JTM James. Another one. Bashing is also a form of communication. What is the best way to deal with these kind of people?
Well, in Toastmasters, we have this skill na conflict resolution, and I was educated about it, that the first stage of conflict resolution is avoidance. I avoid it. It's always weighing what is it for me. Ask yourself, what is it for me? Kung pinatulang ko tong basher na to, ano mapapala ko? Do I have better things to do? Those kind of questions that encourage my mind and my heart not to deal with this activity. It is to answer your question. Yes, it's an open communication, because that basher is trying to say something to you. He or she is expressing her dislike about you, and that's true in life. No, we cannot please everybody, and for us, kung ikaw man ay celebrity, no, and patuloy kang nababash, it depends on how you accept it. May mga bashing kasi na may sundot ng constructive feedback, no, na sinasabihan ka ni ganito because they want you to improve. But may mga bashing naman na medyo personal na. So it is about categorizing the kind of bashing that you get. There will be times that there will be some constructive feedback, then there will be some completely negative. So sa isang basket ng kamatis, siguro ang kukunin mo lang is yung kamatis na pwede pang gawing omelette. Diba? So itatapon mo yung bulok. Yung bulok ang iwasan mo. Kunin mo yung pwede mo pang magamit at mapagtiyagaan. And that's my strategy in life.
Thank you very much, JTM James. Meron po rito isang suggestion sa question. Siguro dito po ko yan kay Ma'am Remy to eh. Well, from Claire Gonzalez, well, the best way also is to have an open communication and choose the right words to say so that they may be able to understand you in such a way. So thank you very much, Ma'am Claire Gonzalez, for that suggestion. So from anonymous attendee, do you think it is still acceptable to communicate using reverse psychology and let the involved person realize it?
First of all, just a disclaimer, hindi ako psychologist. I am a communication practitioner as a Toastmaster. And the question is parang situational siya, no? So parang may consequence. No? So I cannot predict and I cannot give the best answer. It is always uh, about your intention and your purpose. No? So doon sa mga questions yung kung sa tingin mo magiging effective yung reverse psychology, go for it. I always do that. No, there's no harm in trying. But if you did not get your expected result, then don't be disappointed. Kasi everyone is unique. Everyone has unique thinking. Everyone has unique belief. Everyone has a unique way of responding to situation and answers. No, so just be open to it. Kung ano man yung magiging consequence ng action mo, just live with it. I always tell everyone that when you are deciding, make sure that you have these two things. First, happiness, and second, peace of mind. If you are doing things and you get these two things, happiness and peace of mind, then you are a normal person for me.
Thank you very much, DTM James. And
So last question.
last question. No, this is not a question as well. This is the reason why we need to know our people so we know how to deal with them. Thank you very much, Ma'am Remy, for that suggestion. So we don't have any other questions now. How about let us give our heartfelt appreciation to DTM James by giving him our virtual applause for extending his expertise here in Comsafil. Thank you very much, DTM James.
Thank you po, DTM James.
Welcome. The pleasure is mine. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me again. I think this is my nth year delivering educational session to Comsapil, and feel that this is part of my community service in Riyadh. So thank you for this opportunity, and I hope I was of value to to your members in Comsapil.
Thank you very much, DTM
Thank you very much, sir.
We will send to you our
James.
certificate of appreciation when when we are able to travel and to meet in our office, sir. Thank you very much. We really appreciate what you did to us and what you have done for us. This is not the first time that you did this to Comsafil, and yet you are not tired of always being there for the Filipino community via Comsafil. Thank you very much, DTM James.
Welcome. Stay safe and good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sir James.
Thank you,
Welcome,
sir.
Emma.
Okay, at
Welcome,
this
sir.
point, may I call now the Vice President for Education for his concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hans. Indeed, this webinar is very critical in these present times. And we would like to thank distinguished Toastmaster James Torok for his substantial and comprehensive presentation, especially about the topic communication. Communication is indeed very important and significant in this time of the current health crisis. Especially each of us has no frequent and physical contact. To be honest, we have actually lost what we call some form of non-verbal form of communication, especially the touch or the wink, or even during our eating session at the lunchtime where we try to offer food. Nawala na yun, yung pagbibigay ng pagkain, paglilibre. So I believe what this distinguished Toastmaster James Torok has done is encourage us to practice really communication, especially this time of yung ganitong format of online communication. So with this, I am encouraging my fellow Comsafilians to be have the discipline and have the perseverance, especially the perseverance and the industriousness of communicating. On my part, yes, basically, I have encountered that sense of weakness, but I believe with these times, thank you very much, Sir James Sorok, for encouraging us about this topic. So without further ado, I would like to thank everybody, Sir Wanichi, Sir Hans, and Mr. President Ramil, Ma'am Emma, and others for attending this webinar. And hopefully we could see you in the incoming seminars. Back to you, Sir Hans.
Thank you very much, Sir Aaron, Vice President for Education. Sa mga kababayan po namin, ito lamang po ang unang patikim ng ating leadership training series or webinar series. And what's the best way to give us the first serving is by serving you or by giving you the best speaker that we have. Thank you very much, UTM James. So today we learn about communicating across the organization. And let me take this opportunity once more that if you really want to develop your communication skills and leadership skills, the best platform will always be the Toastmasters International.
And we have a Toastmasters Club within Comsofil.
Yes, and we have our very own Toastmasters Club, Toast of Comsofil. Thank you very much. So, inaanyayahan po namin muli kayo next week para sa isa na naman pong panibagong series ng ating leadership training, a new speaker on a new topic. Maraming salamat po at God bless po at magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Thank you po.